fitting in. I have a long, weird relationship with the concept of fitting in. On the one hand, I've never wanted to be this sort of like person who is just forgettable, dime a dozen type of person. Whatever. I didn't want to be that. I kind of always want to stand out and be unique or live a unique life, different. And then there's the flip side of everything where I also don't want to be outcasted from society. You know, you still want to be accepted. Like, so is there a way to blend the two together where you can be different, you know, stand out of the crowd while also being accepted? I imagine that's something we would all want, right? Right? Now this has me thinking about my past a lot, and a part of it has to do with how I've felt like I've been included in a lot of things in my past, but not fully accepted. Like I was always just a little too weird, too many different interests, or maybe too childish, whatever the case may be, depending on the situation. I felt like I might have been too much for people and thus move on or blame others like it's their problem. But here's where things change. Flip the scope a little bit. All these years later, I read a book or run across this book called The Anatomy of Loneliness. It's written by Teal Swan. If you're interested, I highly recommend it. And in that book, she has a story about her and her dog and how she had to leave her dog for a job, but her rationale was the fact that she was under the impression the dog had a closer relationship with her roommate. And then her roommate eventually had to leave after she had left, and then his rationale for leaving was, well, the dog technically had a better relationship with the surrounding community because they lived in a communal home area, and eventually that dog got passed around from like owner to owner, that the dog pretty much felt abandoned. So as it turns out, we as humans tend to do this relatively frequently, where we rationalize that our relationships aren't as good as we feel they should be, so we move forward, we move on, whatever that means. In my case, it meant traveling, right? In other words, I move forward or travel, leaving behind a group of people. Let's say, for example, it's a job I'm working at, and I feel as though I'm not worth much to that particular job, and I move on to the next one. As a result of those sort of actions, I end up hurting friends and loved ones, but also I hurt myself. When we make these decisions, we inevitably hurt ourselves. This whole problem of not feeling accepted is actually a self-inflicted problem. And now, when I apply this to my past and look at my relationships in a light that they were better than I originally thought they were, then that makes me realize I was accepted many times over by multiple groups that I've been associated with. And I also held the belief that I needed to have a certain amount of skills or a certain quality of skills to even get the acceptance that I wanted. But then when I inevitably don't feel that acceptance because of this whole thing, that means I go back to the gym, for example, for circus stuff, and I just train on my own and then try to make this performance to gain an acceptance that I don't feel is somehow enough. So I go back to the gym to try to get even better than I was prior, and then I go back to the gym because I didn't feel that acceptance again, and it's just this back and forth, this endless cycle, this feedback loop of loneliness. And as a result of this, I feel this desire to take a moment, and I just want to appreciate everyone, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your compassion, your determination, your kindness, strength, your excitement, your thoughtfulness. Of course, your sarcasm or your sass is most especially appreciated. I want to thank you for trusting me with your lives, taking care of me when I was reckless with my life. And I want to thank you for this adventure thus far. And thank you for trusting me and allowing me to be in those moments in your lives and being a part of those. Thank you. How many seats you got there, Sarah?
One for all my stuff. Oh, yeah.
2 for my butt,
Uh-huh.
and 3 for more stuff.
Oh, but you forgot 4.
Wait.
4 to spite Skylar.
All in spite.
Let's take care of each other. We are a family. Jurassic World Live Tour on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Jurassic World Live Tour!
I just figured I wanted to make this video for those of you who probably need to hear this before you come to a conclusion about a relationship not being good enough or something. I think it's good to stop and try to argue that it is. And if it's possible to at least balance out the negative arguments with the positive, then it's probably worth a little more attention. Because it's something I'm literally just now realizing. So if you need to hear it, awesome. I'm glad to have shared this thought because I definitely need to hear it. And who knows, I'll probably need to hear it again. Thus, the existence of this video. Hopefully, future me comes back to this. Hope you're listening, dude, because this is where you're at right now.